Still have the blue box at top that says start webinar. Do we need to click that?
It's still buffering. Now we're ready. Okay, you're live.
Christy, you're really quiet for me. I can't hear you very well.
It's clear.
Is that a little bit better?
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to City Parks and Community Services Commission meeting on November 18th, 2020. I'm calling the meeting to order at 7:01 p.m. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Thank you. The procedures adopted for this meeting meet or exceed standards set forth in Governor Gavin Newsom's Order N-29-20, which allows public meetings like this one to be held by teleconference to help prevent the spread of COVID-19. At this time, it would be appropriate to conduct roll call and afterward to confirm certain matters for the record. Commissioner Dorlick.
Present.
Commissioner Kensington Lee.
Here.
Commissioner Birnbaum.
Present.
Commissioner Osland.
Present.
Commissioner Roberts.
Here.
Student Commissioner Ramesh.
Present.
Vice Chair Lopez Lucy.
Present.
And Chair Burrows.
Present.
Thank you. I would like now to verify that all members on the committee can hear me well. All members on the committee have been able to hear all previous speakers, including the roll call. And each committee member believes, based on facial or voice recognition or otherwise, that all persons representing themselves to be a committee member are in fact committee members. If all three statements are true, please raise your hand.
I think you can see my
Thank
hand.
you. And finally, as a reminder, any votes taken during this meeting must be taken by roll call. Thank you.
Yeah. Item 2, public comment. Public comment is limited to item described in the notice. Comment should not exceed 3 minutes. There will be a second opportunity for public comment following the presentation. However, each person may only speak at public comment once during this meeting. Any public comment, Madam Clerk?
We do not have any public comment.
Thank you. Closing the public comment. Item 3, new business. Item 3.1, Senior Citizens Advisory Committee Annual Report presented by Recreation Supervisor Steve Cox.
Hi, everyone. My name is Steve Cox. I am the staff advisor to the Senior Citizens Advisory Committee. I would like to thank you, Chairperson Burrows, and the Parks Commission, Parks and Community Services Commission for having me here tonight. I am here to recommend the Parks and Community Services Commission receive and approve the Senior Citizens Advisory Committee Annual Report for 2019 and 2020, and provide feedback to the Senior Citizens Advisory Committee for the 2020-2021 term. The City Council adopted a procedure for all city committees whereby each committee would provide an annual report to the City Council on its operations, accomplishments, and work plans. The report was prepared by the Senior Citizens Advisory Committee with the input from staff and approved by the committee on November 2nd, 2020. The report is scheduled to be presented to the City Council on January 12th, 2020, after feedback from the Parks and Community Services Commission. At this time, I'm happy to introduce the chair of the Senior Advisory Committee, Judy Knight, to give the 2019-2020 annual report.
All right, thank you, Steve. Can everybody hear me all right?
Yes.
Okay, great, thanks. I spend most of my day on Zoom, so I just always like to check. So thank you, Chairperson Burrows and the fellow commissioner members, staff, and members of the public for the honor to present the Senior Advisory Committee's annual report to you all tonight. It's a great pleasure that I have the opportunity to serve as chairperson of the committee this year. Next slide, please. Christy, next slide, please. Thank you. So we're very fortunate this year to have a full committee, including our 2 alternates. So in addition to myself, we have Molly Abru as the vice chair, Ethelyn Ryan as the secretary, Susan Chen, Terry Johnson, Wayne Mortensen, and Joanne Elgus. And then our alternatives are Joan Ernst and Naim Katabi. Next slide, please.
Computer's just a little bit slow here.
That's okay, Chris.
There we go.
Great, thank you. So the Senior Advisory Committee object and charge: provide recommendations to the staff, the commission, and city council on programs for seniors and the San Ramon Senior Center policies. Be a channel of communication between the staff, the senior center participants, and the senior community. Appoint appropriate subcommittees as necessary to further the work of the center's programs and the efforts of the committee. Receive input from the senior community involving current and future needs. Advocate for senior issues within the entire community and act as a liaison for senior issues to governmental and private organizations. Identify problems of service and recommend appropriate solutions. And this is our object and charge according to the bylaws for the Senior Advisory Committee. So next slide, please. So what have we been doing this year? We have a number of accomplishments and actions. So the first one is to assist staff with the completion of the senior business plan and help implement an approved senior business plan by communicating with current center users to inform them of the updated plan. Under the recommendations of the Senior Advisory Committee, a subcommittee was formed to review the current senior business plan, and the subcommittee members were Wayne Mortensen, Joan Ernst, and Joanne Elgus. And each member reviewed a draft of the senior business plan and provided feedback to staff. The senior business plan timeline has been updated to bring to the Senior Advisory Committee in February of 2021. So another goal was to provide feedback and input on outdoor fitness equipment being considered for future installation at the El Costa Senior and Community Center Park. A presentation was held on November 2nd to gain feedback on potential outdoor fitness for the El Costa Senior and Community Center Park. The Senior Advisory Committee specifically liked the idea of outdoor equipment that can be used by the community in the Senior Center Park, and we recommended various types of equipment that would be suitable for the senior population. Next slide, please. Great, thank you. One of our other goals was to visit 4 senior-related centers in the Bay Area and recommend new services and programs to be offered at the El Costa Senior and Community Center that would increase the ability of older adults to remain active, healthy, and living independently. The committee members each selected several senior-related facilities to visit virtually and focused on information that could be shared and implemented for the San Ramon senior population. The committee members provided a summary of their findings and recommendations to the city staff. And in response to those recommendations, the city staff further researched and developed and implemented online fitness classes to connect with the senior population at home, as well as online tutorial classes. The next goal that was accomplished was assist staff with hosting quarterly on-site focus groups at the El Costa Senior and Community Center in order to engage community members and gain a better understanding of the aging population's needs in the San Ramon community. Prior to the COVID-19 pandemic, the Senior Advisory Committee hosted in-person focus groups focused on transportation and in-person programming needs. After the pandemic caused the facility to close, the Senior Advisory Committee hosted 2 online focus groups in regards to virtual online programs and how to cope with isolation, which is a major issue for the seniors. The next goal was to review the San Ramon Parks, Trails, Open Space, and Recreation Master Plan and assist staff with sharing this information with the senior community. The Senior Advisory Committee received information on the San Ramon Parks, Trails, Open Space, and Recreation Master Plan and made recommendations to city staff for updates to the senior business plan in order to be aligned with the master plan. And part of what we focused on was the importance of general walking activity for seniors as part of their exercise program. And then the final goal for this year was to review senior transportation programs in other communities and provide feedback on enhancements to improve the transportation options for the senior population in San Ramon. Prior to COVID-19, the Senior Advisory Committee participated in several transportation review meetings. The Senior Advisory Committee received information on the discontinuation of Route 36, participated in the introduction of Go San Ramon program, and multiple members participated in a virtual focus group for the Accessible Transportation Strategic Plan. The Senior Advisory Committee members attend meetings of these particular committees, and we provide information from them back to the Senior Advisory Committee meetings. I would like to highlight in particular the county nutrition program. In fiscal 2019 to 2020, 16,256 congregate meals were served. This was an increase of 6,938 meals from the previous year. The increase can be attributed to the COVID-19 pandemic. Prior to the pandemic, the Alcosta Senior and Community Center was averaging approximately 589 meals per month. However, upon the closure of the Alcosta Senior and Community Center due to the county shelter-at-home mandate, Contra Costa County Health Services allowed San Ramon to offer curbside pickup and delivery of the meals provided by the county to San Ramon residents' homes. All meals are packaged in a 3-compartment tray for frozen entree, along with additional items such as bread, crackers, milk, drinks, and fruit. The meals are distributed in 5-day meal packs. Post-closure, due to the pandemic, the congregate meal program has averaged 3,444 meals per month. Meanwhile, 7,248 meals were delivered by the Meals on Wheels program, an increase of 1,657 from the previous year. Senior Advisory Committee members were attending lunch on a regular basis at the Senior Center and provided feedback to staff, who then related the information to Contra Costa County nutrition staff regarding the nutrition program in San Ramon. Christy, next slide, please. Thank you. So the goals and objectives for 2020-21. The focus of each goal is to help the Senior Advisory Committee represent the aging population in San Ramon. So the first goal is to appoint a subcommittee to meet in person or virtually with local seniors ages 55 or older of varying ethnic backgrounds to better understand how senior center operations, program accessibility, and multicultural programs can be improved upon to meet the needs of the diverse San Ramon community. Number 2, explore new outreach partnerships with local senior care and recreation related organizations such as the East Bay Regional Park District, San Ramon Valley Unified School District, Contra Costa County, etc., that can leverage the resources of the city and each organization to provide expanded services to San Ramon's senior population. 3, provide input on new virtual program offerings to meet the physical, education, and social needs for the 55+ population in San Ramon. Number 4, advocate for senior issues within the entire community and act as a liaison for senior issues to governmental and private organizations by attending committee meetings. Provide input, number 5, provide input on options to repurpose the current South Community Gardens in order to better provide for the San Ramon senior population. Number 6, review the effects of COVID-19 on senior transportation programs in other communities and provide feedback on safe transportation options available for the seniors in San Ramon. Number 7, review options for an electronic suggestion box to help facilitate communication between the staff, the senior center participants, and the senior community. Number 8, research the possibility of connecting the Doherty Valley Ridge Trail to the Alcosta Senior and Community Center Park. And along with that, number 9, provide feedback on a plan to create a connected walking trail in the Alcosta Senior and Community Center Park that connects the whole area with designated walking routes, distance markers, and wayfinding signage. Again, all to support the activities and the exercise programs for the seniors. And with that, thank you again for allowing me the opportunity to present this information to you this evening. If there are any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Let me see. Okay, public comment is open now. Madam Clerk, anybody for public comment?
No, we do not.
Thank you. Then we go ahead and close the public comment. Commissioners, any questions?
Yes.
Okay, let me get the. Okay, Commissioner Birnbaum, please go ahead.
Oh, you get that up?
Okay, Commissioner Birnbaum, you're mute.
Yep. Judy, thank you so much for a great presentation. The work that you guys are doing is really important for the whole community. And, you've gone through a very challenging time with, COVID, having to shut down the senior center. It sounds like you were able to keep things moving forward. The program with the meals and that really speaks volumes to what the city can do. There were a couple of things that I just wanted to mention to you that you had in your objectives for next year. One was a discussion about what to do with the South Gardens. I think it's important for us to understand what the senior community would like to see there, because we understand that, that has not been overly successful as a garden for the community. So understanding what you guys have in mind will be really important as we look to potentially renovate Crow Canyon Gardens, and also as we look to renovate those gardens over at the Senior Center. I also did want to mention to you that there was discussion at the Open Space Committee last week about the connector trail out from behind the Senior Center up to the Ridge Trail there. So that was something that was discussed at the Open Space Committee. So it is on the radar screen of the city. And once again, thank you for a great presentation.
Thank you for your comments, Commissioner Birnbaum. And I think most of the credit for being able to come up with great ideas, not only from the Senior Advisory Committee, but certainly the staff, led by Steve, has really, helped drive the nutrition program. And, we had the senior resource drive-through recently, and Steve has even come up with a holiday carol karaoke, which I'm not sure how that's going to work exactly, but I think everybody's just really thrown a lot of energy and effort into reaching out to seniors to help with the isolation and the feeling of really being challenged during these times.
Well, thank you for stepping up and being chairperson.
Commissioner Keniston Lee.
Thank you. So thank you, Judy. It's so nice to see you. I had the pleasure of tag teaming on the last Senior Advisory Committee meeting with Scott. And when I was on the Parks Commission previously, I had the pleasure of being the liaison. So it was really wonderful to see how engaged our senior members of the committee are, and how robust the committee was. There was just a really good energy about it. I was glad to see Steve was a staff liaison, because he's done teen council, now he's done seniors. Clearly, Steve, you've got all age groups covered, and he's got good energy, and I'm glad to see that you're there working with the seniors, because you're good with groups. So I also was impressed, as Commissioner Birnbaum said, to see that much in the same way that Kathy has set this tone of being able to pivot in the COVID world, the pandemic world, that the Senior Advisory Committee has also shown the ability to do that as well, which is a little trickier with that demographic, because not all of our seniors are as up to speed in terms of technology. So that's a huge task, and I'm pleased to see you guys are looking at ways to do that. That's great. I also wanted to really compliment folks on the senior newsletter. I think that it's lovely. It's got great information. I did a little digging on our website. Love to see that was online. That's great. And then I had one suggestion and I had two questions. One suggestion is, I know prior to COVID, we had a suggestion box in the senior center, and that you guys are looking at an electronic suggestion box alternative. Have we also considered a physical suggestion box outside of the senior center for folks who aren't real comfortable making suggestions electronically? That, you know, they may feel more comfortable driving up and just popping a piece of paper outside of the senior center, and it gives that portion of the senior community an avenue for input. So that's just a suggestion to think about.
Okay,
My
thank
two-
you.
Sorry, yeah.
I'll bring that back to the committee. Thank you.
Thank you. My two questions are, one with regard to communicating with seniors. You know, we have our eSan Ramon alerts, which are real critical. You basically subscribe to whatever topic. I dug through all of the subcategories. I did not see a senior services. I saw senior services on the webpage. I did not see it with the eSan Ramon alerts. So I wonder if it might be useful for them to be able to subscribe to senior specific alerts. So, you know, I think that might be a good thing too. The other thing is, and maybe Steve, you can answer this one, is what was the outreach to our senior community in the planning phases of culture in the community? I noticed, Judy, in your presentation and in the annual report, it talks about diversity, it talks about those kinds of things, but did we reach out to our senior community in the planning phase and engage them in the planning process? I guess Steve would be a good one for that one.
Yeah, and I know the staff who oversaw the event did a really good job of reaching out to all of San Ramon. And so when they were looking at that, they were looking at, you know, as a cultural event, and trying to reach all the different groups and all the representatives from our community. So in specifics, I don't know if they went directly to one senior population, but I know they did try to reach out to all the different cultural groups within our community.
Yeah, I think it might be nice to even have you know, the city staff organizers come to maybe a senior advisory committee meeting and at the beginning stages and say, hey, if you know folks who would like to do a dance or what have you, and engage them more in that planning process, I think it might merit a special appeal to them. So just a thought. But otherwise, I love seniors. I'm technically a senior now, and I appreciate all that you do to support the community. So thank you, Judy and team, and Steve, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Roberts.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Hi, Judy. It's great to see you. And thank you so much for the fantastic presentation. I just want to start out by thanking the entire community and staff for your commitment and service to improving our awareness and overall relationship with our San Ramon senior population. And I'd like to acknowledge the committee and staff for the planning, execution, and overall effort during this pandemic. I just can't imagine what we would have faced if you didn't step up during these challenging times. So thank you for that. Just two comments from me when I went through this presentation, a great presentation, by the way. One is around nutrition. So I personally, I'm a big fan of nutrition. And when I read through this, and I think it's great that we have an actual nutrition committee. When I saw it, I didn't really understand what that first paragraph mentioned, right? There was a lot, it talked about relaying of information there, and there wasn't a lot of clarification around that. So I would suggest that maybe you clarify that a little bit. But what I did get when I read through that section of this presentation was that we have a great handle on the quantity of our meals, right, and what we're doing there. But I didn't really get a sense of the quality, and maybe we don't have any say in the quality, and maybe we don't put a rubber stamp on that at all. But my suggestion would be is that if we do have any say or control over quality, that we actually emphasize it and talk about it a little bit, just so that the community overall feels like we're not just pushing out food, but we're also looking at the quality of it as well. And so that's my only suggestion regarding the nutrition piece. And then my other suggestion is, which is also very important to me, is really just looking at the purpose of the committee, right? And so let me just read the first sentence of the purpose, which says, the city of San Ramon recognizes the senior citizen community as an important and viable part of the total community that is entitled to special representation. I can't emphasize enough how important this statement is and the critical role this community plays in our community, especially with a growing, diverse senior population. What concerns me just a little bit is that, our committee I'm not sure if our committee is representing a diverse enough cross-section of our total senior population. And as I read through, I realized that great, the first proposed goal is to appoint a subcommittee, right, to meet in person, virtually, and look at try to create a varying ethnic background. I just want to say that I can't say enough how important that is, that we do create this subcommittee with that's multicultural as much as possible. So I want to acknowledge that, that how great it is that, you're taking the proper steps in addressing this need. But are there any objectives in place to ensure the likelihood of this happening? One, and then two, is there anything we can do as a commission, as commissioners, to improve the odds here in creating this committee? Because if you look at if the actual committee itself, it's not diverse, it doesn't really represent the population. So my question is how are we going to really create that subcommittee that has a cross section of the diverse population in our city?
So we have some diversity on the committee.
No, I'm not saying we don't have any.
Right.
I'm just saying
You're
it doesn't.
Right. It's
really
not the
represent.
majority. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So
right,
we have some.
And actually, if you look at that, if you look at the screenshot, right, I was actually kind of shocked. I was like, oh, maybe I don't need to mention anything about it. But the screenshot shows a couple people of color that actually aren't on that committee, right? So so if this is going to be presented to the city council, someone might say, hey, who are a couple of these people on the screenshot? They're actually not on the committee, right? So anyway, I just wanted to kind of bring that to light. I think it's an important thing. I know that the city of San Ramon cares very deeply about diversity, and I just hope that, and I love that we have this as a proposed goal. I just hope that we can do everything that we can to actually make it happen. And so if there's anything that we can do as commissioners, to make that happen, I'm all for it.
Scott, the only thing that I can recommend to answer that, and Steve, please, jump in from your perspective, would be to recruit, when the next terms come up, right, is to recruit a more diverse population for the committee.
And again, so maybe we need to reach out more, I don't know, to the greater community about joining these kinds of committees. And, and I've been talking to members of the community about it, and maybe just not enough people get interested in joining these communities, in these commissions and committees. But, if there's anything that we can do to improve those numbers, I definitely support that. So, and I know that it's not really the committee that's doing that, and we have to do that better as in selecting that as a commission, right? So, I know that we're involved in that selection process. So,
and
Steve?
Scott, I think we will work to try and get more applications, and I do think the Senior Advisory Committee has recognized that. That's why you did see that in
right.
So, that is definitely something this committee and the next committee wants to work towards accomplishing, because it is very important. We do see, seniors from all over San Ramon utilizing our facility and our programs. And I think we want to make sure there's also representation there from those different areas. So I do think we will be working as hard as we can to get, when we do have those positions come available, to get that cultural representation that we know is so important here in San Ramon.
Awesome. Thanks, Steve. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Scott.
Thank you, Judy. Thank you for the presentation.
Commissioner Lopez Lucy.
Well, thank you, Judy, for a great report and your enthusiasm and knowledge that you emit from giving your report. So it's really good to see lots of enthusiasm for our seniors and everything. I think you represent us well. I thought I was like Commissioner Bimbaum, that yes, I hope that you do encourage the people to give us information about what the option of repurposing of the South Community Gardens there, because that's one important thing to get into to make sure that we have the best use that we can there. And so I thought that was really important. And I just wondered how you're going about how about you're going to reaching out to make partnerships with such like the East Bay Park District and the school district and Contra Costa. Can you explain a little bit more on those as to how you plan to make a partnership with them?
So it would be going to them with and talking about how they could support the seniors, right, in some of the activities that we would like to propose. Okay. And, because they have other resources that maybe we don't have.
That very good, right. And I thought it was very good that you're taking the physical education outside and having not only maybe classes outside for seniors, but when I saw you then brought up with the equipment and everything that seniors could use, I thought that's a very, very good idea, because exercise is really great to keep seniors moving. And the other thing I thought was good was to connect to the trail, because walking is so great and I'm a senior also, and I do walk a lot. So that's great. I think that's a really good idea. So I think you've got a really good committee coming up with really good ideas. And I know you have great leadership with Steve. I've worked with him in different areas. And so I just thank you for chairing that on the committee and for the committee working diligently to improve our situation. The only other question I had is, did we ever come up with anything about, since the, what was it, line number, I can't think what number bus it was that doesn't stop there. Have we come up with any suggestions, concrete suggestions to help improve our getting seniors to our center?
No, I think what we've been doing is mostly coming up with new kind of creative classes and things like that would attract them, or whether it's the book club or the movies or, whatever, when we could do it in person. And I know that Steve's done and the staff have done a great job of working with some of the instructors for some of the physical exercise classes like Zumba and yoga and things to get them online.
Right.
And so hopefully now that they're online, it might attract, I don't know, because I'm not involved in the day-to-day, it might attract people who wouldn't necessarily come to the center, right? But still would be interested in those kinds of programs.
Right.
So Steve, I don't know if you want to expand on that at all.
No, but the Senior Advisory Committee has, definitely given us the feedback that they would like to see us do everything we can to engage the senior population while we still are unable to get back in our facility. And we feel like we have a strong offering right now of physical programs online. And we obviously hope to be able to get back in our facility when we're allowed to offer those programs in person again. And we do have those on our website. We did put those in our newsletter. So we are trying to create as broad of offering as possible within the limitations that we're allowed currently.
Right. Well, when we go back into person, then I'm sure you'll be looking into the transportation to get to the senior center also. But right now, yeah, virtual is all that we can do. But thank you again very much.
Thank you.
Commissioner Osland.
Thank you, Chair Burrows. Thank you, Judy. It's nice to see you. And thank you, Steve. Last year, I was fortunate enough to serve as the liaison with the Senior Advisory Committee. And I'm very impressed to see that all the goals that you set out last year were accomplished, and what you set for this year are absolutely fantastic. I'm also excited about number 9, providing the feedback on the plan to create the connected walking trail. I think that's really important. The seniors are going to be coming to the center and creating more walking paths with distance and things that they're going to know how far they've gone is really great in signage. So I really am happy about that. I also wanted to compliment the newsletter, Encore. I totally agree with Commissioner Keniston Lee. I love receiving it. It's full of good information. It's fun to see what's coming up and what's happening. And I have a little sad spot because I remember about a year ago, we were doing the ribbon cutting and with the new center, and now we can't really even go there. So we'll be back, but it just seems like so much has happened within just a year. And thank you so much for supporting the seniors with all those meals. I mean, oh my gosh, that's a huge feat. And just really being there for our senior population, which is increasing, and aging in place is a big part of San Ramon. And so that's all I wanted to say. I just had one question. About a year ago, maybe 8-9 months ago, we talked about changing the nomenclature from senior in the program of the classes to 55 and up. I can't remember what the language was. Probably don't have any stats on it because everything has changed, but just curious if you got any feedback, or did you, was there any information that kind of bubbled up by sort of changing the focus from senior to 55 and up?
Steve, I think we got some feedback that fed into the business plan. Is that correct?
We did. I think Julia's referencing when we, in our activity guides, we moved from our 55 plus under the adult section, as representation. Some of our seniors sometimes like to not necessarily be called seniors. And so, and it was very well received in the activity guide. I know we did not have the opportunity to utilize it too long. But what we did find was that the individuals who shifted, from that 55 plus section into the adult section kind of got a kick out of feeling like they were a little younger at the time. And then most of our other participants, didn't necessarily notice the change. So, and I think that was what we were aiming for. And so, of course, we only, I believe, got to utilize it for about 2 activity guides. So we will hopefully continue that process, though, in the future.
Great. Thanks for the feedback. And thank you all for what you're doing. Fantastic.
Thank you.
Student Commissioner Ramesh.
Thank you so much for your presentation. Also, just the flexibility that the Senior Advisory Committee has had during COVID. So one thing that I noticed, I think along with Commissioner Roberts, was the first goal on the new annual goals that talks about making the senior programs more multicultural and inclusive. On the teen council, a big hurdle that we faced while dealing with the senior tech days that we used to do was a language barrier. And eventually something that we started doing was actually reaching out to teen council members that we knew were bilingual and could speak Mandarin, Spanish, etc., to volunteer. And I was just wondering whether the city currently offered any programs in different languages based on whatever needs are there in the city. And if not, is this something that could even happen?
Judy, you okay if I answer?
Yeah, I was just going to throw it to you anyway.
So we've actually seen quite a cultural shift at our senior center. And I will say one of our most popular programs, and of course, this is all before moving out, is we had a Mandarin karaoke program, and it actually expanded from 1 day to 2 days a week. And we do encourage individuals in our community to provide programs, and if it's in a different language, of course we want to invite them. One of the things we did do as we had to close was we also provided a Mandarin call-in line. And so we do have a couple members, specifically one member on the Senior Advisory Committee who has at least acted as our interpreter for the Mandarin language. Her name's Susan. She might be listening tonight. And she's been able to help us with some of the language barriers. And I say Mandarin, that tends to be the number one language that we see individuals as their first language, and then not knowing English as their second language yet. So, we want to encourage those individuals to come. And so we are looking at offering as many programs as we can. And that, like I said, we're looking to expand those across all cultures. And so we also like when our senior population is able to come in and offer those programs as well. And so we do encourage that. And as mentioned, unfortunately, we're still not back in our facility, but when we get back into our facility, that I know is one of the current senior advisory committee and future senior advisory committee's primary goals is to make sure we embrace those cultural changes.
Thank you so much. And all of that is great to hear.
Thank you.
Mr. Roberts?
Yeah, I just had a couple last things to mention. I forgot to mention that overall, I think it's so important that there's a lot of work being done in terms of the relationship between the senior community and our teens. And maybe if we can have more mention of that in our goal for next year, which I think is really important. And maybe that could also be the explanation around if you get the question from the council about, what's the school district, have to do with this, and how's that relationship going to look like? What's it going to look like? Well, it could definitely serve in that function, right? So, and maybe that's actually the direction that we should go, right? Is to look at that, building a stronger relationship with our school district and finding out how we can connect more of our teen population with our seniors. So I just wanted to bring that up again. I forgot to mention it earlier. And then the last thing I'll just mention, I want to second what Commissioner Kinnison Lee mentioned about, having just being a pleasure to serve as a liaison with your group and with Steve and your group, Judy. It's just such a warm and friendly group to be a part. And there's just really nothing like, for a couple of hours being surrounded by a lot of people that are a lot wiser than I am. So, I appreciate that. And I really do enjoy being a part of the group. So thank you for that.
Thanks, Scott.
Sure.
Thanks, commissioners. Thanks, Judy, for a great presentation. And Steve for answering all the questions from our commissioners. And thanks to all commissioners for your questions and valuable feedback, especially the feedback that I heard from Commissioner Roberts is one of the most asked questions within Dottie Valley about the diversity inclusion. And I'm definitely looking forward for your programs on how you can add more diversity inclusion programs. So that will be fantastic. And one more thing I always keep, most of the time that I get asked from seniors is about transportation. So I know we are in COVID-19 situation, and but after the pandemic, I do see that you already have as part of your plan on the senior transportation programs. So I would love to see once this pandemic get over and once the things start opening. So definitely, hopefully we will provide a better transportation for seniors so that they can reach. That's always the biggest challenge that they complain is to reach the community center. So it will be nice to, I'll definitely look forward for the transportation plans. And so thank you. Thanks a lot for all your great services.
Thank you.
So with that, commissioners, move the motion to accept.
I move that we accept the report and suggest the city council approve it moving forward.
Second.
Commissioners, any further discussion? Okay, let me make sure. Oh, I see Commissioner Dolrick, please go ahead.
No, I was just anticipating a vote.
Oh, okay, cool. Okay, so seeing none, Madam Clerk, vote please.
Thank you. Commissioner Dorlick,
Yes.
Commissioner Kensington Lee,
Aye.
Commissioner Birnbaum,
Aye.
Commissioner Osland,
Aye.
Commissioner Roberts,
Aye.
Vice Chair Lopez Lucy,
Aye.
Chair Barros.
Yes,
Thank you.
thank you. Okay, so the results pass 7-0. Thank you very much.
Chairman Veros, I'm having trouble hearing you.
I'm having no trouble hearing you.
Okay, let me get my mic as close as. How about now?
Better.
Much better. Thank you.
Sorry for that. Thank you. Thanks, Commissioner Birnbaum. Okay, with that, let's go to the next item. That is 3.2, 2020 Aquatics Program Review presented by Recreation Supervisor Andrew Hubbard.
Hello, everybody. Let me just take a moment to share my screen here with the presentation. Okay, can everybody see the presentation?
Yes.
Yes.
Excellent. So hello, commissioners. Thank you, Chairperson Veros, and thank you to the Parks and Community Service Commission for allowing me to present tonight the Aquatics Program Review. Staff is here to recommend that the Parks and Community Services Commission receive the 2020 Aquatics Program Review. So within the overview of what we're going to discuss tonight includes the planning process and the learning curve that took place with the health order and restrictions, and understanding the best way to safely return to operation of the aquatics facilities during the COVID-19 pandemic. And we want to highlight a few of the programs that we were able to successfully return to operation, which includes lap swim, the pool rental program for adults and youth programs, as well as the efforts for lifeguard training and hiring that have taken place throughout that time period. We'd also like to touch on high school sports and the current planning process and projections for what high school sports, specifically water polo and swimming, will look like. And then throughout this whole period of 2020, we've also had some major renovations taking place at the San Ramon Olympic Pool that I'd like to highlight and provide a status update of where we currently stand to the commission. So to start with the COVID-19 pandemic and the process that we went through, the order was given on March 13th to shut down operations for pretty much everything, and that certainly included the aquatics program as well. And we stayed closed with the aquatics programs from March 13th all the way until June 15th was the day that we reopened to the public for the lap swim program. So during this time period, we spent a lot of time, like everybody else, wondering and researching and figuring out how we would operate and what things would look like when we were allowed to by the health order and when it was deemed safe for aquatics facilities to reopen. So some of the things that we were really concerned about was the lifeguard element and the emergency response, as lifeguards would be expected to be, within close contact, providing emergency care, but, similar to any first responder, paramedic, firefighter, police officer. So we wanted to make sure we really had a good understanding of what that looked like, but also we needed to understand how to safely bring back the programs that we'll speak of later in the presentation. So there was a lot of local trainings as well as national trainings from various agencies that we attended webinars and spent a lot of time and effort developing a plan and best practices for reopening the aquatics facilities. Like I mentioned, one of the most important elements that we were concerned of is the staff safety and ensuring that they would be prepared to provide proper care during an emergency in a COVID environment. So that required us to purchase some additional PPE for the lifeguards, such as face shields, gowns, N95 masks, HEPA filters for the breathing devices that they use to provide CPR or ventilations to a potential aquatic victim, and then how to figure out how to train them on all those elements and what the proper procedures would be in an emergency, of how to don the PPE and when to use it, and when to modify various procedures that we already had in place. So the other big element of figuring out how to reopen was how is the facility going to operate, and how will it be safe for the community to return. So some of the items that were implemented as part of the planning process were allowing a sufficient time for cleanings, both routine cleanings throughout the day as well as deep cleanings, making sure that the locker rooms were unavailable for the typical use of a locker room. Obviously restrooms are still available, but not allowing changing and gathering inside of like a shower environment or being within 6 feet within that area. Other things are bringing your own equipment, no more shared equipment, for example, kickboards or pool buoys or things of that nature. Everybody would be required to bring their own. And then some of the more traditional COVID responses, like face coverings, must be worn at all times in the facility. And much like all of our city facilities, ensuring that a health screening took place prior to anybody entering the facility to swim or do whatever activity that was taking place there. So we were given the order the week before we actually opened. So within about 5 to 7 days, we were able to go from not being open, not being allowed to open, and then implementing the plan and getting the staff back and training them within a very short period of time. And we actually were one of the first pool aquatic programs reopened in both in Contra Costa County and really in the greater Bay Area region. So our plan that we implemented served as a roadmap for many other agencies in the county as well as the Bay Area. And it was really a privilege of ours to be able to provide that information and help others open and provide these great programs to their communities and keep lap swimming and aquatics programming moving forward in general. So that was the overview of the overarching plan, but there was some specific programs that we really focused on being able to offer in the safest manner possible. And one of the huge demands and things that we were getting asked about while we were closed is lap swim and exercise and physical fitness, because there was just so very few options available during the pandemic. Even to this day, that's still going on. So lap swim, we used the model that it was available by reservation only. So it works very much like reserving a dinner reservation at a restaurant. No drop-ins or walk-ups allowed, just to avoid any gatherings of people at the facility. And then from there, only one person per lane in the pool to ensure that 6 foot distancing was being maintained. We do allow, if you're in the same household, to have 2 people per lane. That's one exception to that, but just being very strategic and making sure we were following the social distancing. And lap swimmers are allowed to swim for 50-minute sessions, which provides a 10-minute buffer for them to safely leave and the next group to check in, as well as for the staff to clean the facility. So we looked at our typical lap swim numbers, and we really wanted to ensure that at a minimum we could serve what we normally would in any given year. So we came out the first week, the week of June 15th, with 513 spaces, which is just slightly above above our typical attendance rate. And we quickly realized that the demand was much greater than that. Our reservations were full within a few hours of releasing them to the public. So we quickly added in a 570 additional spaces for that first week. And as the weeks progressed, we went to 1,200 spaces the second week and still weren't able to keep up with the demand. So we added another 750. And we got up to a total of just over 2,000 lap swim spaces each week between the two aquatic facilities. And that's how we operated the majority of the summer until we started reducing back due to some other reasons that I'll speak of. For example, high school starting, the staffing availability changing, because we have a lot of high school and college age students that are working for us. So and construction and some of the other elements in the presentation. So when we started reducing in early August, it was only by a few hundred spots to 1,700. And now during our fall off-season type of programming, we're offering just over 1,000 spaces per week between the two aquatic facilities to continue to meet that very high demand for the lap swim program. So all in all, we've had, and this was as of the end of October, we've had 25,661 swims take place. And that's been over 1,495 unique individuals swimming that number of times. So it's been quite a large program, very much larger than what we typically experience. So this map really shows the impact that the San Ramon Aquatics program had on the general region. I wished I could show you the whole map. We actually served people from New York and Texas and Colorado, as well as the Los Angeles area, but the vast majority of participants were traveling from all over the Bay Area to use our facilities because we were the only ones open, one of the only exercise programs available for many communities. For example, Alameda County didn't open their pools until the week of August 28th. So that was, several months after we had already been open. And as other pools and other communities open, that greater demand did reduce, but also people grew to love our programs and our facilities and the services they received from San Ramon. So some of those folks are still coming to our pools to utilize those great programs. So just to put a couple numbers into perspective, during the summer, we had 1,300 unique swimmers for a total of 17,654 swims. And then looking at the fall season specifically, we're serving about 875 unique swimmers for 8,000 swims. So the numbers are still kind of keeping on par with what they've been doing the whole time. In a typical year, during the fall time frame, we would have just about 325 weekly swimmers on average. So we're serving that 1,076 swimmers each week. So we're definitely doing a lot more volume of lap swimmers during this pandemic than we would in a normal time frame. So that's been a great program. We've received a lot of praise and a lot of positive and feel good about being able to provide that outlet during the pandemic for folks to be able to swim and exercise. Another huge part of what we wanted to bring back and what we felt could be done safely was our pool rental groups, our swim teams, and some other specialty groups that use the facilities. And I'm happy to say that of the groups that wanted to use the pools, we were able to serve the majority of their requests. There was a lot of groups that, because there wasn't very many pools open that we've never done business with, that definitely reached out and tried to, find water space, between our lap swim program and our typical groups, which you see here, we were serving, pretty much using our pools as much as possible. And like I said, very happy that we could take care of the 3 co-sponsored user groups that wanted to use the pools and 4 of our typical rental groups. A lot of the other groups that we typically work with either opted out or weren't interested just because of the pandemic and their own operations. So we were able to bring those back June 22nd. And they operate in stable cohorts of 12 with a supervised coach. And eventually, a couple weeks later in early July, we were able to add adult rental groups back into the pool. And then eventually we expanded rental opportunities at both the San Ramon Olympic Pool and the Doherty Valley Aquatic Center. So now we're serving user groups of all ages. Stable groups have been increased to 14 or fewer. That was a change from the county. And there's no more than 2 swimmers in each lane, but those 2 swimmers have to start on opposite sides of the pool just to continue promoting that social distancing and staying away from other participants as much as possible. Lifeguard training we recognized was something that we really needed to continue, even though we were in a pandemic. We always need staff as a year-round facility, and luckily we did have a great retention rate of returning staff that we were able to keep on board and engaged throughout the pandemic. We actually had a 68% retention rate from last summer's staff. So that was a huge starting point for us, but we felt the need that we needed to continue finding new staff and provide opportunities for the community during the pandemic. So we were able to offer part of lifeguard training online during the pandemic as a free program. The Red Cross has a blended learning course where you can do CPR and some of the lectures and videos online and then supplement the rest of the training in person. So we wanted to at least get them started on all the online portions of the course. And we had 55 participants utilize that program, which was actually free until they until they signed up for the in-person class, and then there was a fee attached to that. So 55 participants took us up on that offer, which was really great. And we wanted to also start interviewing them and being proactive so that when the time came to reopen, that we could easily get them engaged and into the working environment. So during the main shelter in place, 11 contingent offers were made under the expectation that they would complete lifeguard training. And when that happened, we would officially offer them a job and get them working for the city of San Ramon. So after we reopened with lap swim and user groups, our next step was to work with the county to gain approval to offer lifeguard training in person. And we were actually able to do that. And that again paved the way for many of the other agencies in Contra Costa County to also be able to offer this important lifeguard certification program to their communities and also have staff to work as lifeguards all over the county. But we were proud to be able to help with that. And we began offering lifeguard training in person in October. And we had 10 participants successfully complete the October course, and we have 8 that were enrolled and are finishing up the November course. And through that process of the blended online and in-person lifeguard training, we've made 13 offers and hired 13 new lifeguards to join the team with the city of San Ramon, and we're in the process of getting them on board and engaged into training currently. So that's exciting to have future lifeguards to help keep the operation moving forward as we continue to offer the programs we're currently offering and eventually go back to some sort of a normal program offering at the pools. So that was a good recap of what's happened program wise, and the next big program benchmark is figuring out high school sports. Initially, high school sports, all the fall sports were postponed to start in December, and that's coming up here very quickly. So we're currently working with the high schools to figure out the water polo season, which is set to start on December 7th. And that's still true. Everybody's still tentatively moving forward with that date, even though, the health orders have changed and we're now in the purple tier. And those things that have transpired, we're still working to figure out how to safely do this and move forward. Swim season would not start until February, which is the typical time of year that swim season takes place. I'm going to talk about the construction piece in the next couple slides, but we are planning on having Cal High continue to utilize the San Ramon Olympic Pool for practices, but they would use the Doherty Valley Aquatic Center for their games. And then Doherty Valley would both practice and play their games at the Doherty Valley Aquatic Center, which is their typical home facility. So like I said, we're working very closely with the high school administrations to figure out what's going on with the leagues and the directions they're getting on how to safely return to sports, but also ensuring that we're still following the city of San Ramon's guidelines and the county health orders and the state health orders, and we're all working towards that same goal of safety throughout all of our programs. So we still have some work to do to continue to watch things and see how things develop before the December 7th projected start date. And then the last element I'd like to talk about is the San Ramon Olympic Pool renovation, which is very exciting. And we talked with the commission the last year about the play pool that you see here. And I'm happy to report that it's here and installed, and it's really awesome, as you can see by the pictures there. So the work to remove the old play structure and start the project started in early June, and most of the work was completed back in June. However, we did find some additional items that were discovered upon removal of the old structure that need to be addressed. So Public Works is working to address those items concurrently with the rest of the San Ramon Olympic Pool renovation project. And the play pool will be finally complete and replastered when the 50-meter pool is replastered. They're going to do that all at once when they do that other work, just to consolidate and be more efficient in that regard. So that project is almost wrapped up, and then the 50-meter pool project began. So the 50-meter pool was part of the overall San Ramon Olympic Pool renovation project that was already planned to start this winter. And when we got the notification that the water polo season was going to be postponed, we quickly recognized that we had an opportunity to maybe push some of that project earlier to hopefully provide us more water space when we were serving the needs of the high schools, as well as lap swim and our user groups. So we moved the 50-meter replaster and deck work project to start earlier than anticipated. It actually got underway the week of September 14th with the demolition of the pool, the deck area, and the removal of the notorious and beloved blue water slide that you see there down in that bottom picture. So just like with the play pool, the San Ramon Olympic Pool 50 meters actually 40 years old. We discovered a few issues that needed to be addressed when we actually broke ground on removing the deck and the plaster. And so the project is going to take a little longer than anticipated, and the 50-meter pool will be completed by late January or February, just depending on weather and construction work and things of that nature. But Public Services is working very hard to address all the items and make sure that project gets done correctly and efficiently while we're in the middle of the project as we speak. So the remaining, that was just one element of the renovation project. There were many other items that are set to be addressed at the San Ramon Olympic Pool. And as of right now, Public Works staff is working with the consultant to finalize the scope of the remaining work that will take place. For example, locker room renovation, some of the structural building upgrades, the water slide replacement are just a few of the very important pieces of that renovation that they're looking at. So we are projected to start work on this project before the end of the year, but that is a tentative start date as that final scope of work is finalized. And we'll have more information on the actual timeline of that renovation project once that's been completed. However, at the same point, staff is working to identify solutions so that we can continue to utilize the San Ramon Olympic Pool while the building is unavailable. For example, through renting portable restrooms or working with the high school or school district for use of their facilities to accommodate us still being able to offer rentals or serve the water polo teams and just have access to as much water space as possible as we serve the demand of the lap swim and the rental programs and everything else that's taking place at the pool. And with that, that would be the end of my presentation. So again, I appreciate the time tonight to share with you where we our current status and where we're at and how things have been going at the aquatics facilities for the last five or 6 months. And thank you for having me.
Thank you. Public comment is open now. Madam Clerk, anybody for public comment?
No, we do not have any public comment.
Thank you. Then we go ahead and close the public comment. Okay, now Commissioner's turn for the questions. Commissioners, any questions, feedback? Surprising, I don't see any hands.
Well, I can't get my little blue button to work, but anyway, I just wanted to thank all the work that was done that you had to do. And it's just amazing of the people that we've, accommodated for lap swimming and all, and to be a leader, which was greatly appreciated. We should be very proud that we come up with these ideas and projects that simply work. So I think you've just done a fantastic job. So thank you for making us, so out front of everything. So again, thank you very much.
Commissioner Roberts?
Yeah, Andrew, just really quickly, I'll just say thanks for the great presentation. And really, congratulations for the success you had during a pandemic. I mean, the amount of work that had to be put into this, the leadership, the execution of it, working with the county, establishing safety protocols and enforcing rules to keep the community safe, but also which includes the staff. And so I think, not only did you provide a highly needed outlet as you described during a pandemic, but I think this made a positive statement to our neighboring communities, which I believe will be felt for years to come for our aquatic, not only for our aquatic program, but for our entire city of San Ramon. So thanks for stepping up and doing this and being successful at it. And thank you. I'll just say that.
Thank you.
Mr. Osland?
Well, Andrew, I want to stand up and clap. I'm really impressed. The leadership, just everything that has been done is incredible. So congratulations, and just taking something that was so difficult and hard, and you work through it, and you really you raised the bar. So thank you for your leadership, and very, very impressed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew, for a great presentation. As I definitely go with my fellow commissioners, it's during these unprecedented times with this pandemic and all these things going on, negative things, then you put this whole positive community service. It's amazing. So I'm very proud that we have such a great team. So thank you. I really appreciate it. Okay, with that, yeah, thanks. Okay, just so we are done with that item, and item 4, adjournment. So the meeting is adjourned, but quick thing I want to say that thank you everyone for this. Could be my final last meeting with Parks and Community Services Commission. Thank you very much for all your support for 4.5 years. It's amazing journey for me. I learned a lot, built a very good friendships that will, I hope that will last longer in my lifetime. So once again, from my bottom of heart, thank you very much for all your great help and support.
I think there may be a couple of commissioners who did want to say something too, really quickly.
Oh, Commissioner Keniston Lee.
Yeah, I just wanted to congratulate our chair, our illustrious chair, on his new role. And I'm excited that you bring the experience and the voice of Parks to that body. And it's been a pleasure to see you evolve as a commissioner and to learn and grow and, you know, represent your voice and the voice of the community. And I know that you'll do a great job. And I'm really excited to see all the things you're going to do on the city council. So congrats.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Roberts.
Sridhar, I just want to mention, congratulations. You know how I feel about your success and what you've accomplished, and how you've supported, this city. Not only on this commission, but in so many other ways. And so I'm looking forward to having one of our own represent us on the commission through Parks. So that's fantastic. And I just look forward to having the opportunity to continue working with you in years to come. So congratulations. Thank you for everything that you've done. And good luck in your future endeavors with the city.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. I appreciate it. Commissioner Bonbon.
Well, I just want to reiterate what everybody else has said. We're very happy that we have one of ours going to the city council. I've said this to you before. Don't forget where you came from. I also want to say, Sridhar, you and I came in to the commission at the same time, and I've enjoyed working with you and seeing how you've grown as a commissioner and stepping up to put yourself out there to run for the city council. And I'm very excited for you and excited for the city having somebody like you representing us. So congratulations and best of luck.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Commissioner Lopez, Lucy.
Well, I want to congratulate you too. You've been a very good commissioner to work with, and it's been a pleasure working with you. And we've all made decisions, but I think now you're going to even have a tougher time on your decisions. So I hope you have a broad shoulder and lots of things like that. But like everyone said, it's been a great pleasure with you, and hopefully we'll continue our friendship, as you said, for all of us. And I just wish you the best of luck for your new adventure.
Thank you. Commissioner Rosler.
Chair Burrows, you're going to be missed. And thank you so much for welcoming me into the group and being kind and gracious. You've been great to work with, and you'll be missed, but I'm very happy for you and excited for you too. So thanks for all you've done.
You.
And continue to do.
Thanks a lot. I see Commissioner Keniston Lee.
Actually, let's go Commissioner Dorlick first.
Okay.
Yeah, mine's more business oriented.
Oh, okay, Commissioner Dolly.
And how do you know mine isn't?
I got a hunch.
Anyway, Sridhar, I ended up finding out that I was in District 3, so you're representing me, so I'm going to hold you accountable. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Student Commissioner Ramesh.
I just wanted to congratulate you as well. And I'm also in District 3, so I'm excited to see the work that you do in City Council. And thank you.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Thanks all commissioners for all your great support. So Commissioner Ken Stanley.
Yeah, so I'm a little puzzled. Normally we would have commissioner member committee reports and member items, correct, Kathy?
Yeah, this had to be a special meeting. We had a little faux pas as we did not officially cancel the September 11th meeting that was on Veterans Day, which caused us to be accurate. We had to handle this as a special meeting. So the minutes and the reports will be done for the December meeting. Sorry about that.
Okay, no problem, because it needs to be agendized for us to do it. Got it. Okay. Okay, thank you.
So thanks everyone. I'll definitely keep seeing you, working with you. Have a wonderful evening. Good night. Bye.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.